Hey, what's up guys? You could Gypsy, and I'm back here today with my finals game for the BBL up against Panther this week. Panther did make it to finals on the other side of the playoff conference bracket, and yeah, we're facing Panther yet again. We faced him earlier on in the season. He's got a terrifying team with Mewtwo, Mega Lopunny, Crocodile, stuff like Z Kyurem-b, just ridiculous team. So it's fitting that two of the most scariest teams sort of face off here in finals. And yeah, Panther is a really good player. Actually, funnily enough, the only other Wi-Fi league that I've uploaded to YouTube that I've really participated in recent years is I've faced Panther in finals in both of them. So it says a lot to his ability as a player. He's made it to finals twice, and yeah, he's really got a solid team. So that's gonna be fun to take on. But I'm gonna quickly run through the builder here before we jump into the game. We're going to kick it off with Ho-Oh here. Now I'm bringing Curse Ho-Oh. It's a set that I've been looking at all season, but I never ended up bringing it. But I'm saving it for this game here. And honestly, like after a Curse, Ho-Oh alone, like at neutral, causes his team massive grief. Like he really has a hard time switching into Ho-Oh in general. And his best ways of kind of wearing it down is throwing a Toxic at it if he can. If like I leave it in on a mon that is going to Toxic it. Or using like rock coverage from something like Crocodile, or like something like even Mewtwo can carry Stone Edge, or just beating Ho-Oh down with Psy Strike from Mewtwo. But with a Curse up, I can actually take Psy Strikes from Modest Life or Mewtwo with ease, which is pretty insane because that attack is just ungodly strong. So yeah, Ho-Oh becomes actually a Mewtwo check, a comfortable Mewtwo check, even if he's Modest Life or after a Curse. And yeah, it could be a really nice win condition for me if I can position it right in the mid to late game. Then I have my Mega Laddie here. So this time I'm bringing CM Roost. Last time I played Panther, I brought a Defog, like a very similar spread, but it was like Defog Roost 2 attacks with Draco and T-Bolt. This time I'm bringing Carmine because Carmine Laddie can really just go ham versus Panther's team. He doesn't have a lot of counterplay to it. If I get a Carmine up, I can actually Oko Mewtwo with HP investment at +1 with Draco, and the same calc applies to pretty much all of his team. A +1 Draco. I got T-Bolt there for the Empoleon as well, and it does a decent amount to Rebombi, so that's pretty useful. Yeah, just a really useful mon. With this investment, I can live a Modest Life or Ice Beam from Mewtwo after Rocks as well at neutral, so I don't even have to be at +1 to live that, which is important. Just to allow me to get like a powerful Draco off, even if I'm at neutral, it's still going to do around 60 or 70%. So the next one we have here is Scarf Lando, and this is actually the first Scarf on my team. I actually have a couple more, but yeah, this time we're bringing Scarf Lando. Last time I brought I was like a Defog Rock Polish 2 attacks variant of Lando with Earth Plate, I think. But this time around I'm bringing Scarfed. Scarfed really just gets the most out of Lando in this matchup versus stuff like Kyurem, versus stuff like Mewtwo, Lopunny. It's a really useful mon that can get a nice chunk, at least like 40 or 50% off a Mewtwo, even if it is bulky, with a U-turn, and bring in either Ho-Oh or Finny or Beginner. It's also just really nice insurance in the late game because he doesn't have a lot of ground immunities. I think he has one, and it's Taunt. So if I can lure that thing, which Buzzwole does nicely, this Lando might be able to actually sweep in the late game with Earthquake. Worst comes to worst, it's a nice way of getting a Defog off if I do need to for my Ho-Oh, which as I mentioned is one of my win conditions. And if he does get up webs, I want to ensure that I can, pretty safely remove those, because my team also relies on 2 Scarfers in the next one here, Finny and Buzzwole. So Finny here we have Trick Scarf, pretty bulky. I live Ice Beam into max attack Fusion Bolt from Kyurem, which is an important calc, I felt. But yeah, Ice Beam and Moonblast really all I need. I can trick the Empoleon if he does bring it, which is going to really open up my Beginner. And yeah, comfortably, Moonblast honestly versus his team, apart from the Empoleon and the Roserade, which I've got Ice Beam for, is really spammable. It's also a nice way of tricking a Mewtwo, which might be like a Carmine Recover variant. And just tricking anything on his team really opens up my win cons in Carmine, Laddie, and Curse Ho-Oh, as well as my last one in Beginner. Next up we have Scarf Buzzwole. So running triple Scarf in finals. And yeah, I did bring Scarf Buzzwole last time, and it's probably the most obvious Scarfer honestly on my team. I think Panther will expect it again, but even so, there's very little downside to bringing it because it is such a nice check to his Mewtwo, to his Lopunny, to his Kyurem. I can lure the Torn with Edge if I play it correctly. But yeah, Scarf Boswell, not too much to be said about this thing. It can comfortably revenge a lot of his team, and it can be a pivot, if anything, into stuff like Crocodile. Lastly, I have a Megina here. Shift Gear, Calm Mind, Fluid Cannon, T-Bolt, probably my favorite gear set. The favorite kind of Megina set that I've run this season. It's just so much fun to use. I love using Z Gear. Obviously, it's incredibly busted mon. Even in this Ubers tier, it's just having great success. I don't know if it's because I'm using it or if it's just because like it's Megina with Z moves. But you know, I have faced Megina with Z moves in ITL and it didn't really do much. So take of that what you will. But Megina is definitely going to be a nice win con in this game. Panther doesn't really have good counterplay to gear at all. He's got Empoleon, which I've got T-Bolt for, and I can lure with the rest of my team. And yeah, that's kind of it. So he's got Ordino as well, though, which could be like a Spit F check to Megina. But because I am Z move and I have Fluid Cannon, I can actually set up on that thing. So yeah, I got to be careful about Z moves on his Kyurem. If he's Z ground, that could be a problem for Megina. And yeah, I've got to kind of scout that out and certainly like set up with Megina when it's safe. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to trick something with Finny to kind of open up situations for Megina to set up. But yeah, that is going to be the squad. It's a relatively offensive squad despite having a lot of natural bulk on these mons. 252 in Finny, even though I'm Scarf, and then like a ton of bulk on Lando as well. Just this natural attack really coming in clutch, kind of compensating for the lack of investment. And then I've got a ton of health on Laddie as well. This is really just like the best way I felt I could approach Mewtwo again. I didn't think he'd bring Sub Carmine like he did the first time. I thought he'd bring definitely an all-out attacking variant this time around. So that did shape the way I prepped. But that is going to be the team. I'm going to pause it here and we're going to jump to the match and see how it all went down. Alright guys, so we're here with the game up against Panther. And as you can see, he's opted to bring these 6 in front of you. He didn't choose to bring the Lopunny again, which kind of surprised me. He didn't bring it in the first time we played, and he opted not to bring it again this time. So that kind of tells me that he's concerned about, I guess, too many physical responses to it on my team, like Lando, Ho-Oh, Buzzwole, and stuff. So even Laddie can take it pretty well. But in its place, I definitely see Ordino. That was a mon that I didn't really think would come. I thought Empoleon or Lop would come over it, but it's primarily here. I'd assume for my Megina and potentially my Latios as well. So that's certainly interesting. He's opted to bring the Roserade instead of the Empoleon. That was a slot that I thought the Empoleon could come into as a Megina check, like a secondary Megina check. But this thing could be, yeah, it could be like a lure set for my Ho-Oh or my Laddie. It could be a number of things, but it also could be like a specially defensive set to take on my Megina. So yeah, apart from that, pretty much what I expected. I'm thinking this is going to be Z Kyurem, probably a defensive Torn, or some sort of bulky Torn. Offensive Torn is kind of bad versus me because Ho-Oh takes on that thing for days. So if he's like a bulkier Torn, he'll be able to check my Buzzwole more effectively. I'm expecting a Life Orb, Modest, Unnerve, or Timid Mewtwo. And yeah, probably a Rocks, like offensive Crocodile here. So we're going to jump right into it. I want to thank Panther for recording this match, my opponent. The BBL boys wanted this game to be brand new and fresh, and when it was released, no one wanted to know the results. So this is all coming purely from me and Panther. So yeah, shout out to him for recording. So yeah, he's going to lead off with his Kyurem here, as I do lead off with my Scarfed Lando. I'm just going to go for the U-turn turn 1, noting that my Intimidate goes before his Terravolt procs, implying I'm faster than his Kyurem here. So I know it's safe to just U-turn out of here, as we are going to get some nice chip off on this Kyurem, but it's not going to do a ton. It does like 15%, I want to say, like 10-15%. So he's got some bulk, that's for sure. But I'm going to go out to my Finny here on his Ice Beam, as I don't risk the freeze with the terrain up, and he does just fire off the Ice Beam. He didn't really have a reason not to fire off the Ice Beam there. It was pretty safe. As yeah, I'm just going to fire off I'm going to double here, sorry, back into my Laddie here, expecting him to go hard into his Roserade, which is his only real sort of check to my my Tackle Finny. So yeah, he's going to go back out into his Rose, and I'm just going to Mega here and click Draco, expecting him to scout for the Psychic move. And I'm just going to fire off a Draco into the Taunt actually. And because this thing is not touching the ground, it is not affected by Misty Terrain, and my laddie's Draco is going to do a ton to this thing. So yeah, the way mechanics with terrains work is kind of weird, but yeah, if 2 mons are floating, yeah, the one getting hit is not influenced by Misty Terrain, so it is still going to take a huge amount from this Draco, and there's definitely like some sort of HP invested Taunt on that. And he's actually going to hard switch out here, not wanting to take another Draco, and go into his Crook here, as I do just Draco once again, getting some nice chip off on this Crocodile here. He reveals to be Intimidate, so he's not like a Moxie Crook, which is good, very good to know. He could be like offensive Intimidate, or he could be like defensive, some sort of defensive with Intimidate. Either way, he's not Moxie, which is good. But right here I am just going to go hard into my, I think I go into my Finny here, as he does just go for the knockoff. Yeah, I'll just go into my Finny, as this turn he is going to knock, which is going to remove my Scarf, which is kind of unfortunate because now I don't have, one of my 3 Scarfs is down, but it also means I can switch up moves, which is going to be really nice. And it might also lead him to believe that either my Lando or my Buzzwole isn't Scarfed, which could work to my advantage later in the game. So I'm just going to click Ice Beam here, as he does bring in his Roserade, and he's actually going to reveal to be Yachi, which is a pretty cool check to beginner. If he expected like an Ice Beam kind of beginner to get past Roserade, but yeah, he's going to get frozen here, and yeah, we got frozen each in both our games now. But I was talking to Panther in DMs, and he's like, nah, I'm going to Thaw here, just watch. So this turn I am going to switch out, and I'm going to go into my Laddie, as he does Thaw on the first turn, which is awesome. Didn't want to have a freeze impact our game like this. Sorry, I go into Ho-Oh, not Laddie. As he does just go for the Leech Set, and he's going to miss on my Ho-Oh. Ultimately, would have just netted him a little bit of health back, so not the end of the world, I suppose, for Panther there. But I'm going to click Sacred Fire here, as he does go out into his Crook, and this is probably his best kind of response to Ho-Oh, either this or his Ordino or his Kyurem, I guess, if it's like a bulky Kyurem. But this thing takes a nice amount and it gets burnt here, so this is really, really nice. This means Laddie can now Calm Mind up on this Crook now that it's burnt, without really fearing like a knockoff doing much damage at all. So I'm going to go back out into my Finny here, set up the terrain, and yeah, just get it in before rocks and just defog if I need to, as he is just going to set the rocks up himself, and yeah, get those up for Ho-Oh. He really is going to need to pressure Ho-Oh, because things looking like a threat. I'm cursed, so yeah, he really doesn't have a lot for it at all. Like, once I get a curse up, Kieran's Fusion Bolt's going to bounce off. Mewtwo's Side Strike's going to be doing very little, so this turn I'm going to defog, as Panther makes the play of switching into Mewtwo. This was a really good play on his part, I thought. Like, I think he identified at this point in the game that like he was losing momentum. My team was slowly chipping away at his and kind of overwhelming it. He needed to get some momentum back in his favor, so he does go into his Mewtwo here, fires off the Timid Life Orb Side Strike, and that does a lot, but we do hang on, and I am going to be able to get this clutch Moonblast damage off, which is going to put this thing close towards half. After the Life Orb recall, it'll actually be pretty much at half health, which is going to be really nice for my Lando's U-turn and EQ damage. And if this thing doesn't have recover, if he's like Calm Mind 3 attacks or like 4 attacks, which is actually an option here, he's gonna really be pressured now to only get a few more hits in after taking any more damage from my team. So I'm just gonna click U-turn here, as he does go into his Torn, and he's actually gonna reveal to be Rocky Helmet here, as my Lando's U-turn is just gonna do very little to this thing. At this point I'm thinking, okay, this Torn is more than likely his Buzzwole check, because Buzzwole kind of ran through him last time we played, and yeah, it does. Panther is the kind of guy to learn from his past games and adapt. So that's kind of what you see here. He's definitely a helmet, kind of more defensive Torn, which tells me that I got a pretty good chance of setting up on it with Laddie here. He's going to go back out into his Crook here, as I do just set up a Calm Mind. The fact that he hasn't U-turned once with his Torn leads me to believe that he's probably Hurricane, maybe Heat Wave, Taunt, potentially Toxic as well, because he's like a bulkier set, so that's something I have to be aware of. U-turn is such a good move on Taunt, and to forego it really usually implies that you're running something like Toxic or Taunt. So I'm going to set up a Calm Mind here, and I've only got T-Bolt as my other form of coverage, so I have to drop a Draco here just to remove this Crook, which means no rocks the rest of the game, which is really nice because one of my defoggers is already down in Finny, so it's going to freeze up Lando to never have to worry about defogging. He's going to bring back out his Taunt, and this turn I just Calm Mind up as he goes for the Toxic. So I'm back at neutral special attack and I'm at +2 special defense. So yeah, Laddie's looking like in a pretty nice spot. I can just go for the T-Bolt the following turn. But yeah, this turn I'm just going to get up a Calm Mind, and if this Taunt wants to fire for Hurricane, it's going to be doing very little, but he has revealed Toxic, so he could be Taunt on this. I don't know that yet, but this turn I'm just going to play it safe and go for the T-Bolt as he does go for the Taunt, and this is really nice. So I know his moves now. He's Taunt, Toxic, Hurricane, and more than likely like Hidden Power Ice or Heat Wave for my Lando or my Megina, as this thing takes a ton from that Draco. I thought I T-bolted, but I actually Draco'd there, which caught his Roserade if it wanted to come in, or his Ordino, which I thought could certainly come in there. But now he's going to actually switch back out into his Roserade here as I make the switch of my own into my Ho this turn, knowing that he didn't have U-turn based on the way he was playing it, and he wasn't going to stay into Sack Torn, so his only play was going either Ordino or Roserade, both of which my Ho could just abuse by clicking Sacred Fire. I could have set up a curse here, but on the off chance that that he had some kind of tech for my Ho, I just wanted to get damage off on that Roserade, remove it from the game if I could, and that's one less sack he has to my Scarf of Buzzwole Lando. So now he's going to bring back out his Kyurem. This thing's still pretty healthy. He's only taking a little bit of damage, and I am going to switch out here. I'm going to go hard into my Buzzwole this turn, as he does just go for the Z Ice on my Ho here, and I probably would have been able to live that from full because I am so defensive. But he could have been potentially Z Fusion Bolt, which would have been obviously a big deal for my Ho. Wouldn't have been able to live that, and he does reveal the Sub-Zero Slammer here, and I will be able to live even a max attack Adamant Sub-Zero Slammer from full with my Buzzwole spread, as this reveals that he's not max attack, that's for sure. He's definitely got a lot of attack, but he's not max attack. So this turn I'm just going to fire off a Superpower. His Taunt's actually at a range of health where it will go down to 2 if he does want to switch into that. And if he wants to stay in with Kyurem, then he's going to drop. He also might not think that I'm a Scarfed Buzzwole, because I have shown to be Scarf Lando and Scarf Finny. And he's actually gonna drop. He's gonna stay in with Torn, and he's gonna go down. To the second Superpower. Buzzwole is gonna get taken out by the Rocky Helmet Recoil, but I was okay with making that trade at this point in the game, because this really opens up my Scarf Landers to kind of sweep him with EQ if I can get any more chip damage off on his team. It's also one less mon that can taunt Laddie, one less mon that can kind of disrupt Laddie from setting up a Calm Mind and winning. And that also applies to my Ho, because if that thing gets toxic, then like a curse set isn't as easy to pull off. So I'm just going to go for the U-turn with Lando. I brought in Lando because it matched up pretty amazing versus anything he wanted to bring in. He decides to bring in Mewtwo, which is his biggest offensive threat left. As I'm just going to go back out into my Ho here as he does fire off the Psy Strike. And this is going to be the last hit he can fire off, because he's going to go down to recoil here from the Life Orb. But Ho takes this really nicely. That does about half. And with lefties, we should get back up to a little bit over half here. So yeah, Ho really proving its worth. This mon has been absolutely incredible to use. really enjoy using this. As he's going to bring out his Kyurem here. Again, I'm not going to stay in with Ho. I'm just going to switch hard out. I think I got into my my Megina here, as he does just fire off the Ice Beam, I believe, expecting my Lando maybe to come in and get that Intimidate drop, being immune to the Fusion Bolt. But my Megina is going to come in here, and this turn I'm just going to click Calm Mind. I know he's going to go Ordino, expecting me to go for the Shift Gear or something like that, or just fire for Fairy move. So I'm just going to click Calm Mind here. And I had a feeling this thing is more than likely going to be an Encore Ordino, because that's kind of the only way he can stop getting set up on by Megina. It's the only way he can really capitalize on a Megina boosting in its face and shift momentum back into his court. So I'm just going to click Calm Mind again. Even if he does Encore Lock me, any turn that I'm Encore Locked, I can always just click my Z move and kill something. But I want to get up to like +3 at least, so I can always kill a Spit F Ordino with a Z Fluid Cannon. So he's going to switch his turn and go hard out into his Kyurem. But I'm going to be at +3/+3 after this next Calm Mind, and there's not really anything this thing can do. He's already burst his Z move, so we know he's not going to be like some sort of wild Z tactic. Alright, so I'm going to send out Megina, and I'm just going to click Calm Mind as he's going to send out Kyurem, and I had to pause this recording and come back to it. Yeah, so he's going to go for the Fusion Ball here. It's going to bounce off. Gear's going to reveal I am Z move, and yeah, this is going to be the last Z move we're going to be using in the BBL, because this gear is just yeah, it's just wrapping up this game right here, because Kyurem's going to drop, and Ordino cannot beat anything on my team. So yeah, we're gonna Z a Twinkle Tackle for the final time on Wi-Fi. Really, watching these Z moves on Wi-Fi is a lot of fun. It's really cool. Like, obviously on the Showdown Simulator, all you see is a flash and like a little animation. I think they still do a pretty good job on Showdown, but it's nothing compared to how it is on Wi-Fi. So I'm just gonna go for the Calm Mind here, as he does reveal to be Trick Room. He ended up being a really nice tech on his Ordino. He was like red card, Trick Room, and Healing Wish. Really clean set. There's a nice way of getting around my beginner if I'm like shift gear or something like that without a way to boost my special attack. You can always live a hit and red card me out. But I'm gonna go into my Ho here, as he does reveal Healing Wish, and it's not gonna work because he doesn't have any teammates left. So it's kind of unfortunate that he wasn't able to show that tech off, but he did reveal it anyway. I'm gonna slow this back down as yeah, I fire off a Secret Fire, get the burn there, and I am just going to start spamming Fluid Cannon to get the final kill here with Megina off on this Ordino. I know he's not like Wish Protector or anything like that, so, and obviously like Panther doesn't want to prolong the game, even if he was. So yeah, Megina's just going to click Fluid Cannon, finish off this Ordino with the following Fluid Cannon, and that is going to wrap up BBL Season 2. So this was a really fun game. Congrats to the Panther on making finals, and good game to you, my friend. We've spoken many times since this game, but it was a lot of fun to face him twice in this season. And yeah, undefeated season. This is actually the first time I've had an undefeated season since MPL Season 5, my first season in the MPL, which is crazy considering how many like 11-1 sort of seasons I've had, and made finals, you know, with just one loss or something. But as far as a completely clean sweep of a league, this is the first time the most recent one anyway, I think, since MPL. I might be wrong, I might have had another one, but I'm pretty sure it's MPL Season 5 back in ORAS, which is crazy. So yeah, it's yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. And yeah, shout out to everyone at the BBL. Shout out to Aaron 2420, the commissioner of the league, for putting together something really solid, really good group of guys, and it's just really well run. There's no beef in the chats or anything like that. It's all very good, very chill. And honestly, like, if you guys are interested in playing in sort of Ubers format, or you want to sort of get a taste for Ubers in draft, I really recommend you go and join one. Whilst I obviously created a very powerful, broken team, I literally used the same 7 mons every single week. So I was essentially using a team of 7. I didn't use any of my lower picks, and I'm fine with that. I mean, being able to use all these mons is the reason I drafted the team, the reason I joined the league. So it was a lot of fun to be able to use these and stuff like Ho-Oh. I don't understand how people are sleeping on Ho-Oh. This thing is god. Like, this thing is so good. Obviously, Megina's Megina. It was great to use Megaladios as well. This is the first time I've used it, and I had a lot of fun with it. Obviously, Lando is a mon that I adore using, and it was good to use Finny again. I think Finny has a lot of potential in this Ubers format, where there are so many powerful darks and dragons around. And Buzzsaw was a ton of fun to use as well in an actual league. I've only ever used it in tours, so it was good fun to use it in a league. But yeah, that's going to be it for BBL. Hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know what you guys thought of the season in the comments. And yeah, that's going to be it.